we don't know which way we're going or which way we're coming, and which door we need to knock, yes? And they ignore you, yes? They talk behind you. You ask them, please, 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 please put me in the emails when professionals are going, not in the emails, yes? And this is really pity, because you create anxiety, then you pass this to your autistic kid, yes, without realizing. And this is the problem we have, yes? They know us like a parent, and what they don't understand is they put all the responsibility to us, but we caring for an individual that have a voice, yes? And we need to give this voice to these kids. Doesn't care the age they have, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 13 or 15, because if we take the voice of them when they are kids, they are not be able to be independent adults, yes? You know, and the funny thing is, all the service they say, we are here for your kid. And you say, okay, this is the way my kid is. This is the thing my kid is. But they come back to you and you say, yes, but you are the parent. Your kid need to say what you say to him. No, 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 no. The game is not like this. If my kid need to scream, he need to scream. I'm going to tell him, you know, try to put your volume out and things like that, and how to manage all these things. But when you do that, then they come back to you and they say, oh, this kid is not autistic. Yes, but then how we win this? And it's like being together, because one voice don't count. A lot of voices they count, and we need to play the game being a community.
Absolutely. Yeah? Absolutely, Raquel. Thank you so much for that. I know Liz wants to hop on and say something, but Raquel, that was really, really good. Thank you so much. 2 seconds. I will unmute you, Liz.
Okay. I just want to say really briefly to Esther and to everyone that some of our problems are problems because our children have SEN, autism, that there's racial and unconscious bias, but some of the problems is actually to do with funding, yeah? So the government cut funding to schools and to SEN. So this is like a national problem, the shortfall of funding. And what has happened is there is either mainstream school or specialist school. There's nothing in between. So again, if your child fits somewhere in between, you know, their difficulties, mainstream school can't cater for them, but then they're not special, or difficult enough for a special school. So there is no school for them. And what I'd say to Esther is, I think your desire from homeschooling, I don't know your story, I'm sure there's lots more to it. I think it's coming from wanting to protect your son. Not really from actually thinking homeschooling is best for him. You want to protect him from what happened. And I think maybe you need to hold out for the right school when this is over, or do some homework now online, see what people are saying about other schools and take your time, keep him at home. Because I think maybe he is too, his experience has been so negative, he probably won't want to go there, but hold out a bit longer. You know, these things take time, whether it's an EHCP or a tribunal or getting a diagnosis. Getting in the right school too can take time, but it's worth hanging in there for.
Mm-hmm. No, really, really good advice. Guys, don't forget you've got the chat button as well. So if you've got anything that you think, oh, well, I need to say it or I might forget, just type it in there, okay? And then we can come back to some questions in a little while. Is that okay? But no, I think from all of this, although we've all got slightly different experiences and stories and things like that, I think what we can take from it is that there is strength in numbers. So although we're all very different and our children are very different and we're all living different parts of the world or the country or whatever, we haven't got the answers at the moment. And as frustrating as that is, I wish I could say to you, like, this is what you should do and everything's going to be okay. And I would love that, but that's not the case at the moment. And but I think the fact that we are here today sharing our stories, that sense of camaraderie is really, really important. That strength of community is really, really important as well. And we need to keep having these conversations as well, because although we might not be able to provide instant answers for you, we can offer you that support that maybe you're not getting elsewhere at the moment. So yeah, really, really great advice from Raquel and Liz. Thank you so much for that. Vanessa, do you want to hop on? Because you've not really said much for once.
Sorry, I've been trying to sort out my grandson in the background. That's why I have my eyes left and right. And my daughter, yeah, he's giving her a hard time. I would say from my experience, I think for the last 12 years is that it's been frustrating because I think if I wasn't with the National Autistic Society, as much as people were very anti-NAS, I would not have met the majority of the families that have connected me. I would not have met Dr. Ken Greaves. I would not have met Mark. I would have met Raquel, because Raquel, when I first started with NAS Lambeth, she was one of the parents that came to me very privately and said, thank you. And I didn't understand, but I can say in the last 4 or 5 years, I get it, I understand it. And when I was doing this, when I asked you to do this, it was risky in a way, because I thought nobody came on and asked for no password. So I went to everybody personally. So you could see that people are interested, but I just felt that we need more voices. Like Raquel is Spanish, and I've always said it to her. When I say BME, Black and Asian, I still include her because she's volunteered for a second voice. She's a volunteer for NAS Lambeth. Esther, iPhone, Shana, there's lots of families that need help because their voices are not being heard. And I know that what we're doing, we're going in the right direction. And I know if more of us come out, even like Liz has come back to me, you know, tackling the Dual Heritage community. There's so many of us out there, and I think maybe lockdown happened for a reason. Because if we didn't have lockdown, we still would have been just talking. But now we're on here. I know that this is going to go to another level now. So I'm just grateful that you've come on at a short notice that you did. And I know that there's more for us to more voices are going to come out of this. Agree, Liz? Do you agree, Liz? Yeah. So like I said, I know that there's a lot of people that are still too shy to speak because of stigma. I had to bear all with my own experiences, because I noticed that when I used to go out with my son, yes, and I read my reports, and it said things like, what do I expect? School teachers are writing things, I've got a chip on my shoulder. Those are the things that were in my files. So I was fighting a system where you had the Black professionals judging me. So it wasn't, when I use that word, I've got a problem with the Black professionals, I do, because a lot of the reports was biased views, cultural values, things that because they've got family members who've got special needs, so their families cope. So why can't you cope? But you've hit it on the nail with your journey, because again, I can relate to being called a coconut when I was, when I was younger, because I was like told I'm black on the outside, white on the inside, because of the way I was brought up. I just struggled with identity. And I feel it's so important as a community, we are able just to speak without feeling that when we talk about Black, Asian, that we're not being racist. We're basically just saying, we do exist. Like you said, I don't see Black until I look in the mirror, you look at a picture, then you think, oh, I'm the only Black person. So I would like to see more voices. I feel like Raquel sometimes hides, and I'm glad that she's come forward, because her journey, her daughter is struggling. Her daughter's a beautiful child, a public speaker, but because she doesn't fit the criteria, she gets pushed aside. But what comes out of her mouth, it shows as a young 15 young woman who's got a voice with additional needs, but her needs are not being met because she's very articulate. So just because somebody can walk, talk, doesn't mean that inside the iceberg is there. And if they don't give, I would say, her daughter that support, she's going to go down to mental health. And because we're single mothers, if we don't have that additional support, who's going to be there for our children? And it is in the Black and Asian community, Dual Heritage community. Again, because when we ask for help, we're sometimes only seeing, as you said, we don't see a reflection of ourselves. So I'm thanking you, for coming on. And I know that we've gone over in a lot of things, but you can see there's more room to do these sort of events again. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I think that topic of double discrimination is one that we need to really keep talking about. I feel at the moment, especially as a writer, that the words inclusiveness, diversity are very much buzzwords at the moment. So many people are using them, but not many people actually truly understand what it means to have diversity and inclusiveness. It doesn't mean that you just employ one Black person in your company or in your office and you automatically, it's diverse. Or it doesn't mean that you employ someone with a disability and now you're inclusive. It goes so much far beyond that. So it's really important that we're having this conversation. Yes, Vanessa, did you want to say something?
No.
No?
Yeah, basically, I would share this for a mother that is here, somebody that has just come forward, and I know who they are because I've been helping them. And they said, my experience has been so negative with professionals, all because no help has been given, only blaming and labeling her family. Her daughter was diagnosed at 14, same behaviors as her son. Now, however, he's still not been diagnosed. Her son, I can say from my experience, he has been excluded quite a lot of times. Even what they've done as well, they put her daughter in a mental hospital. So this is something we've got to look at, is that when they see black children or young black exhibiting certain behaviours, doesn't mean it's mental health. So that's something we've got to look at, is the aggressive behaviour, the self-harming, to think that just because they see a behaviour that is sort of looked at as a black stereotype, is that the profession's got to look beyond before they just put the child in a mental hospital, which they've done to this child. And right now, the mother is still trying to fight to get her daughter out. But at the same time, she was actually reported to child protection because her son said, "Mum hit me," when he didn't hit her. It was an accident in the sense of grabbing a toy. So it's about everybody around think before they speak and before they report them to social services, because sometimes social services, to me, is a last resort, but sometimes when you bring them into your business, they can actually misinterpret, which has happened to me. I can say for 12 years, I've had a bad experience with social services. Had a few good ones, but those ones stay for like a week, 2 weeks, disappear. So it's about making sure when we're talking about aggression, talking about domestic abuse, talking about violence, that it's not always led to bad parenting. You've got two parents in a household can still experience the same things, but we don't hear those sort of stories. So for this mother right now, she needs help and she's still fighting for her child. Okay, but she won't come out public, so I'm speaking on her behalf.
Well, I hope she knows that we're all here for her, and then we will offer her any kind of support that we can do, because I think it's so important that we do reach out to one another, even if we don't know each other directly. It doesn't matter, because it's so important. Because I think what we should also touch upon, not today, but probably a different one, is the mental health side of it for you as a parent as well. That gets ignored a lot because it's so taxing, it's so draining, it's frustrating, it's scary, it's worrying, it's challenging. And how do you deal with that as an adult? How do you take care of your own mental health as well? That's so important. And I think it goes back to that, what do they call it? That face mask analogy. Like if you're on an aeroplane and the aeroplane's going down and the stewardess says to you, you know, parents, put your face mask, oxygen masks on first, because it's important that we take care of ourselves first of all, because if we can't, then we're not going to be around to take care of your children. It's so important. But I totally get it, how your needs get completely swept underneath the carpet because you're so invested in your child's health and happiness that you almost kind of don't put yours as a priority. So I think, Vanessa, maybe that's something we should discuss at a later date, and if there's any ideas or tips or advice or whatever we can offer each other, because that's really, really important. And just before I go to Raquel, I know she's got a message, a question that she wants to ask. That double discrimination, I would still keep going back to it because it's something that has been, that phrase has been used for years and years and years. And it's quite sad that we're still having to keep use it, which kind of shows you that times haven't really changed that much, that progress hasn't really changed that much. But for me, I know when Walter has had a huge meltdown in a supermarket and he's thrown himself on the floor and he's kicking and he's screaming, I often think afterwards, do they see the disability first or do they see the ethnicity first? Which one? Is there a right or wrong answer? I don't know. I think it's really important that we hear more from fathers as well, regardless of what ethnicity they are as well, because the onus and emphasis is always placed on the mother to sort it out, to control the child. Alex, my husband, has been in a similar situation when Walter's had a meltdown, and as a male, he's had the, oh, well, at least he's trying. At least he's an active father. Do you know what I mean? That's what he gets. Whilst the mother is like, you're a bad mother. Why not controlling your child? Look at your child and all these things. So I think it's really important that we hear from the fathers as well, because it's equally hard for them, but we just need to have that united force. And I think there's so many people, from speaking and listening to everyone's story, there's so many people doing amazing things separately, if that makes sense. We just kind of need to all come together to do those amazing things. Because again, if it wasn't for today, I would not have heard about Raquel's stories or Esther's story. I heard from Liz. Do you know what I mean? It's really important that we have more of these and just try to think and visualize how we can just have more of a positive impact, because there are so many people who are struggling and suffering and not being heard, and that in 2020 should not be happening at all. Okay, so I'm just going to go to Raquel, because I know she wants to ask a question. So 2 seconds. Okay, Raquel, I think you're on.
Thank you. I think, like Vanessa said, this is a lesson, you know. Now everyone, yes, is understand what is to having your kid at home, yes? But we have it so many times, you know, and I think this is the time that we need to be together and invite the Council for Disability in one of these Zooms, yes? Not to attack them, because what I think is happening with people, because some people have a lot of anger and frustration. When we put this out, we put the energy in the wrong way, yes? And when you speak with anger and frustration, you're not going nowhere, because everyone wants to feel appreciated. Then I think what we need to do is invite these people and appreciate what they do, yes? For no one of us is easy, yes? But then they be able to understand that we just know asking, because it's the way I feel, yes? What I want is to give to, I want to give to my community, I want to help other parents, yes? But I need help, yes? To do that. And I think the point is a lot of people and they don't understand what is social service, yes? And what they are for, yes? And they told you that they do one thing and after they do another thing, yes? Then what we cannot ask, like a community, like a parents, okay, we would like to have a training to understand what is social service, yes? And what kind of help I can have, yes? You see, because one person told you one thing, one person told you another. And depend of your social worker, the service that you're going to have, yes? That is no need to be like that. And other thing now is direct payment. Some parents have direct payment, yes, but not all the parents, they know about what is direct payment and what you can have. I go into meetings, they told me, okay, is that you can have a carer to have sometimes off, and is to have resources, yes? But when you ask for the resources, they told you no. But after you speak with the right people, they told you yes. And you don't know, but the person who is holding the door is your social worker. No social service is your social worker, yes? And you cannot deal with this door. And when you try to deal with this door, that happened with me. In Christmas, they call the police in me, take Jasmine away. I don't think I'm a bad mother. And, you know, and I want the best for Jasmine, you know, but they pulled you. You are the one to stop it. She is not, only because you asked for the right things for them. How we can do it like a community, that is not one person, is all of us together asking the counselor for kids with disability, please come to a Zoom, because now we cannot go to a meeting, yes? You know, because we know that you tried your best, but maybe if we can have a recording of people asking you questions, yes, and appreciating the job that you do, yes, you can understand them, we know against them, and we want to help you, then you help us, yes? And I think it's the message that we need to pass, you know, because sometimes when I go into these meetings, okay, because we have the frustration and we think, here's what I can say, all with me is, in a meeting is me. And okay, yes, I need help, yes, but if we're talking we, all of us, we're going to have help. And this is what we need to explain to parents. These meetings, yes, after when the person is saying, now it's 10 minutes, everyone, then you go there, grab them, and it's me. But when we ask questions, need to be all of us, we have all these problems. All of us have problems with transport. All of us, we have problems and we don't want the kids in the school because they don't understand. All of us, we need training to see, yes, because all the professionals have training to understand autism. What is my training like a parent? You know, and this is the question, how we can do this like a group and a community, yes? Mm-hmm. After, like individual, everyone need something different, yes? Mm-hmm. Because different people have different needs, different cultures have different needs. But what we can do as together, then all of us, we can have, how we can have a training to help the kids. Yes, how parents, can have other parents. Yes, and how we can understand what is social service. This is my question. If someone can answer.
Vanessa, do you want to go for that one? I don't know. I really wish I did, but I don't. Liz? Yeah? Okay, I'll go to Liz first. Oh, sorry, hang on.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say, obviously it's going to vary area to area. So I don't know, Vanessa, whether your local authority or different local boroughs of London, whether they offer any free training or not. But again, personally, I mean, we do have workshops. I got nothing after diagnosis, but we do have workshops now that you can attend. But because my background was childcare, and because I fought for so long, I was ahead of the game, because obviously if you're going to wait for a diagnosis for 18 months, you're going to kind of go on your own journey for 18 months, not just wait. So obviously I was a bit ahead of the game. And then since then, I think you did have a meeting with Laura yourself, Laura Kirby, who does the PDA. Pam? I think you did a meeting recently with Laura. So again, right now, there's a lot of free resources floating around. You did a brilliant one with OT and therapy the other day, Vanessa. And there were different sections within it. So some were to do with regulation, some were to do with stimulation, some were to do with more emotional health. And I think that's a great one. And I've passed that on to some families, because some sections will be relevant, other sections may not be relevant, but I thought it was all really helpful. And I think, again, when it comes to PDA and autism, the actually autistic community is a place to go. And a lot of them are doing some free stuff and some YouTube stuff. So I know, again, there's quite a few people doing OT for free on a daily basis, just small chunks. So again, if anyone wants to share resources or recommend people, because we do have people, Yvonne Newbold, who does a lot of stuff to do with violent and challenging behaviour. We have Harry Thompson that does PDA. So there are people, again, obviously they don't necessarily look like us, but there are people out there that are really pioneering in their areas.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No, that's really good advice, thank you. Vanessa, did you want to hop on? Yeah, okay.
Sorry a minute, where is it? Oh yeah, basically what has happened in the background, as I'm always told I'm very busy, I got hold of PDA Society, so they're looking to do some dates. I've tried to get hold of Yvonne Newbold as well to see if I can get her to speak, because nobody seems to talk about the serious issues behind autism as well. The focus has always seemed to be like it's all fluffy and nice, and there's parents who, I think we just have to speak and talk, and that parent would just come on and listen, than us telling them what to do. Because I know some parents don't want to be told what to do because they feel they want to listen to a parent whose child seems to get it, but they don't realize we have to individualize and make sure that we do what is right for our child, and not, I would say, not copy what the next parent does. It's so complex. Yeah. It's very hard, you know. And I always say to everybody, they say, was it not all size fit all? And when it comes to our children, one day it would work today, doesn't mean it's going to work tomorrow. So like you were saying, yes, I've got 3 teenagers, 14 to 19, and I've got my 2-year-old grandson. It is hard, but the difference with me is they're older and their needs are not compared to somebody who's at the other end of the spectrum. But our children, the children that if we did let them go out, it's the social safety environment that is the struggle for me. It's about looking at social media safety, exploitation, county line. It's a different picture when we've got children like our children, not just Black children, just autistic children who are vulnerable because they can be targeted, especially if the parents are just not vigilant to the other needs. And education have to look not just at education, they've got to look at the social skills outside of school. So we need more after school activities. And I won't just say one day, it has to be every day. Or, I mean, I wrote down as well, the problem I find in the communities, local authorities, some of them are great, but if you're not part of the clique and you don't have that logo that represents what they stand for, they're not going to signpost you. So it is about cliques. And I think the more of us all come together independently, I think we would do better than under local authorities. Because the local authorities, I feel, got this red tape of what they would accept. And if we don't go by the rules, we ain't going to get the funding. So I think it's about us coming together and working collectively instead of us always relying on government funding, because sometimes they're still not going to get it. I can be a bit political, but I'll try and be nice.
Brilliant, thank you. Mark, is there anything you want to say before? What I'm going to do, we're going to wrap this up soon, I think. I'm going to show you the book as well. But yeah, before I do, Mark, is there anything that you want to say?
I think it's a shame I'm the only dad here.
I know.
But like you were saying earlier, Pam, I mean, I take my hat off to all the single parents out there. Unfortunately, it is mostly single mums, let's be honest. But even when you're lucky enough to be in a partnership where there's a mum and a dad or two parents that are trying to raise the child or children that are on the spectrum, it can still be a challenge, even when there's an extra pair of hands around. I mean, I would like to, I don't know how we do it, but I'd like to try and encourage more dads to join these groups so that it doesn't just put all the onus on the mums. And lastly, I'd just like to say thanks, Pam, for speaking with us today.
You're very welcome. I'd love to do more of this. And yeah, it's been really lovely to hear your stories. Although I know we're going through not the same, but we're sharing stories where we're showing frustration and anger and upset. But I think what we need to take from this is that we are doing everything we possibly can do for our children because we love our children. And the fact that you are worried about, maybe you question your parenting skills, am I a good mum, am I a good dad? The fact that you're asking those questions, in my eyes, shows that you are an amazing parent. And it is really, really difficult, and I think it's really hard to try and translate what it's like to have a child who is autistic to those who don't know it. So I think that we need to be using these platforms and these forums more. Don't wait until the point where it's just like you're at your most despair. Do you know what I mean? If there's a question, if there's anything you've tried and it's worked with your child, even if it's just worked for one day, share that with Vanessa, and then she can share it with everybody else, because it is literally, we are learning on the job as we go ahead. And I think if we can do more of these, especially like you said, Mark, more dads, I would definitely ask Alex to come, because it would be really good to hear from his perspective. Him, like Mark, is very passionate about raising awareness of autism from a mixed heritage point of view as well in the community as well. So it'd be really good to hear from him and any others that you know. Yeah, I think we should definitely do this again soon and touch into the whole mental health side of it as well, because it's really important that we look after ourselves, because yeah, we are the ones who are doing most of the work to ensure that our children's futures are happy and healthy. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me. Before I go, oh, Joy, yes, 2 secs.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you very much for this forum.
You're welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thank you very much for the forum. I just want to encourage we parents that we need to look beyond that word, autism. That we've got wonderful children. Our children are unique, and they are plenty. From my own experience, although I didn't have it too long. Well, getting diagnosis, my son was diagnosed when he was 3 years old. So I had early diagnosis, and all thanks to Children's Center and Lambeth, because they create a lot of awareness. At the Children's Center, you will see some group going, the speech and therapy group, going around the Children's Center, creating awareness. If your children cannot, they have no 20 words at 2 years, then you should know there is a problem. So they are doing great to create awareness in we parents that something is wrong. And then if we can have early diagnosis, I think it helps a lot it helps us a lot, because when you know your child's needs, then you can give him all the support. You as a mother can fight for the rights of that. But when you don't know that your child has a need, then what are you fighting for? It's difficult to fight for the rights of a child where you don't even know he has that need. But thanks to Lambeth, that support is there. Thanks to Vanessa, I'm just saying now face to face for the first time, but I received a lot of mail from her and from others from Lambeth Council. So we should see these children. They are great children. They are great. You can imagine my son, David, at 2 years old, can identify any number. If you see a bus going on the road, it will tell you this is 196, this is 345. At 2 years old.
I think some of the guys are... At
that age, you can identify any... Hello?
Hi, Joy. Yeah, sorry. I think some of the guys are... Your connection's a little bit weak, so I think some of the guys are struggling to hear what you're saying. So if you didn't hear what Joy was saying, she was basically saying, well done to Vanessa. So well done, Vanessa, and thank you so much. She was also saying that focus on the label of the word autism, because we should be celebrating that their uniqueness, and that's what we should be like really throwing out there into the world. So I totally agree with you on that point of view as well. And she was also saying that, you know, it's really hard to help your child when you don't know what your child's needs are to begin with. So we need to focus on trying to find out what their needs are in order for us to help them to thrive later on in life, which is kind of what she was saying, but in a much better way than I just did. So but thank you Joy so much for that. So what I'm going to do before we go now, I'm just going to show you my screen so you can see the book. This is what the book looks like in hard copy, but I've put it in a PDF so I can share it with you on my laptop, so you can actually see it. Yay, Vanessa's got hers as well. So just bear with me a second. I've never actually done the share screen, so I'm just gonna have a look. See that? Can you guys see that? Give me a thumbs up if you can. Can you see it? Yeah, okay. 2 secs, let me just... Yeah, can you see that okay? Yeah. Liz, can you see it? Brilliant. Okay, so yeah, this is the first book of the series called Buster Finds His Beat, an autism-friendly story that encouraged empathy, understanding, and kindness. So it's a short story. I'm just going to read it to you really quickly, and then you can let me know what you thought of it afterwards, okay? So I really wanted to focus a little bit like what Joy said, just celebrating the amazing and different people of this world, which is all about what my series, Just Like Me books, are all about. So this is Buster. He's a little bit shy. Why don't you tap his shoulder, tell him your name, and say hi? But please don't shout, scream, or suddenly clap. Loud noises really frighten this curly-haired chap. Although he likes quiet, he's friendly with a cheeky giggle. He loves listening to music and dances with a wiggle. Cars and motorbikes are Buster's favourite toys, but not the real ones outside. They make too much noise. People sometimes ask him, "What are those things on your ears?" "They're my ear defenders," Buster says proudly. "They soften the sounds that I hear." One day, while Buster is out shopping with Dad, he needs the toilet. He needs it so bad. He can't wait. He must go. But then he remembered that he left at home his ear defenders. His dad turns smiling to Buster and says, "Don't worry, you'll be fine. Just take some deep breaths and try without them this time." Buster, in a fluster and with all the courage he can muster, heads to the toilet door and tiptoes across the floor. Buster's in the bathroom, but there are noises galore. Whoosh goes the hand dryer, splash the tap, bang from the door. He's worried and scared, not knowing what to do, but he must wash his hands after going to the loo. He runs to the sink, splash, whoosh, then to the door. But suddenly stops. I've heard these noises before. My favourite song has sounds like these. So he tries them again, but slowly and with ease. Buster's at the sink, but calmer this time. He looks in the mirror and says, now it's my time to shine. Buster bangs the door and smiles with delight. It's different this time, no longer a fright. The taps on full force with a splosh and a splash. Buster wiggles and giggles to this new rhythmic mash. Here comes the whoosh whoosh and a wish, and just like magic, badum tish. Wow, Buster, look at him go. He's a drumming legend in an amazing rock show, thumping and banging to the crowds all night. He's happy, he's confident, his fears out of sight. Still wearing his defenders, he's got rhythm and soul. He's found his inner power, now he's in control. So when you are faced with some of your fears, take a deep breath and wipe away those tears. It's okay to be different and to feel unsure. You are not your struggles, you are your strengths and more. Buster has a message for you. He would like to say, be kind to yourself and others each day. And when you feel confused, scared or shy, don't panic. These feelings will soon pass on by. Like Buster, there is a child who is incredible too. Shall I tell you their name? Why, of course, it's you. So in my book, I really wanted to have that underlying message of kindness and acceptance, and that it's okay to be different. And I've just got one more thing to show you before I go, because I was sent this picture by a school teacher who bought quite a few copies of the book for her school, and she said there was one little boy in particular she wanted to give the book to, because he struggled a lot with noises, and he found it very difficult to be in like social situations. I just want to see if I've got it. Hang on, where is it? So she sent me this picture. Let me know if you can see it. Does it come up? Yeah. And I just thought it was such a powerful, lovely little picture. And the fact that he too has to wear ear defenders and he can relate to Buster, the character in the book. And I think that's what it all comes down to, yeah? If you open a book, can you identify with that character or identify with the character's situation or the message that it's trying to convey? I think it's so important. And that's why I'm working and striving so hard with these books. All the different stories have got a child from either an ethnic minority background or have some kind of disability. And when I say disability, it doesn't have to necessarily be like wheelchair bound. It could be that hidden disability, like autism. And not every story will capture or even mention the disability. You may just have that the child is in a wheelchair and we don't mention it, but that child is the main character, and we're showing all the positive things that child can do. So I think it's really important that whatever books we are giving to our children, they take that message from it. They can either see themselves in the visuals, or they can learn something from the book. And it's really important that children who are not autistic read the same books as well, because that's the only way they're going to learn acceptance and understanding as well. So I'm just going to stop sharing the screen. Is there anything anybody wants to say before we wrap up and go? Let me know if you do. If not, we'll call it a day.